Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. My name is Kalika and you're gonna be nicer to call center staff after watching this video. College girl asks me how to hide a parking violation from her mother. I posted a story earlier in the day about an angry customer I had a long time ago, and it reminded me of a slightly more wholesome tale I had back then too. I think anybody who was young once will feel this girl's problem. If you read my last story you have the background, but really quick details for those who haven't. I work at a university for a company that does their parking for them. I'm a dispatcher that answers the help button you see on the garage machines, and I take customer service calls after hours. The two players are me and the caller, who shall be referred to as Girl. Hello, parking company, how may I help you? Hi, yes, I got a parking violation. How can I make sure my mom doesn't find out? Well, is it her vehicle that has a violation? The girl's sounding very glum. Yes, I was driving it and I parked over the line without realising it. Okay, so if a violation is not paid within 24 hours of it being issued, we will get the vehicle owner information from the BMV, DMV and send a letter out with the violation information. So if it's paid before then, she won't find out? Not unless she calls us and asks us to look up the vehicle or something like that. Okay, what if I don't have the money to pay it right now? We don't really care who pays the violation, as long as it's paid. Do you have a friend who could lend you the money or pay it for you online? The girl's quiet for a moment as she thinks. I might. Can I call you back? Sure, let me give you my direct number. She had called the customer service line and she had to hunt through prompts to get to me as it was after hours. So she calls me back after about an hour and finding a friend who will help her out. Hello, parking company, how may I help you? Hi, it's me again. I have a friend who can pay it for me. Now, how do I actually pay it? I think for a second on how best to help her, feeling like a co-conspirator at this point. The easiest way is online, but as you said, you don't want your mum to find out. I would recommend coming into the office and paying cash. If you pay with a card online or in the office, the bank may not process the funds in time to stop the letter, and a similar issue might come from a cheque. If you come into the office and pay in cash, the front desk reps can mark the citation as paid immediately. Oh my god, thank you so much. We will do that then. What time do you guys open tomorrow? And I give her the time. Okay, we'll be there as soon as you're open. Thank you again so much. No problem, ma'am. You have a good night. Slightly more wholesome tale than my other memorable calls. I still laugh about it today whenever something brings my mind back to it. The combination of worry over what to do and fear of her mother's wrath that came through in her voice was really something you had to be there to appreciate to the fullest. That child is not of my household. Okay, so way back in 1998, I was working for a call center company whose main business was from other companies outsourcing their customer service to this company. For example, if you called the 1-800 number on the back of a box of Jell-O or Kraft mac and cheese, your call would be answered by someone at my company who worked on that particular project. My project was the benefits department for a telecommunications company. We handled enrollments and changes to their employee health insurance, life insurance, dental, etc, etc. One day a manager called in. You could always tell when it was a manager because they'd have you on speakerphone, like they were doing you a favour by squeezing you into their busy schedule. This particular employee wanted to add his newborn son to his health insurance. I congratulated him, added the child in the system, went through the standard spiel about how the coverage worked, and advised him that he would receive a confirmation letter in the mail in 7 to 10 business days. At this point, he asked if I could send the letter to his PO box instead. I said sure, and put the address in the alternate field. What I did not know at the time was that the system would send the letter to both addresses. So, fast forward about 2 weeks, I'm taking calls, and I get a call from a lady who tells me that she's not an employee, her husband is the employee, and she had a question about the coverage. No problem, as we were allowed to disclose such information to spouses. She gave me his SSN, and it sounded familiar. While the system pulled up the information, I asked her how I could assist her. She said, well, we received a letter of confirmation about our child's health insurance, and we don't have a new baby. Okay, no problem, let me check the system. By this time the system had pulled up the information, and lo and behold, it was the same guy that had called 2 weeks prior to add the new child. So I confirmed that the employee had called in on such and such a date to add the new child, named David, born on such and such a date, etc, etc. What followed was the coldest that I have ever heard someone speak in my life up to that point. That child is not of my household, and I want it removed from our insurance immediately. Not of your household? What do you mean? Oh. Yep, you guessed it. The husband had a child with his mistress, added him to the coverage, and tried to end run around his wife finding out, which failed miserably due to how our system worked. I had to explain to her, in the calmest way possible, that since her husband was the employee and had added the child, he would have to call to remove the child. She assured me that he would be calling back, thanked me for my help, and hung up. I had to take myself out of the call queue for a few minutes to compose myself. As I did so, I heard hysterical laughter coming from the office at the end of the row of cubicles. A few minutes later, my supervisor's manager came down and asked me about the call. Apparently, they had been monitoring it for quality assurance, and it was the funniest thing he'd heard to date. Jeez, what a way to find out that your husband is cheating on you. And not only that, but there's a child involved. This was back in '98, so I wonder what happened. I did check the comments, and OP said that they checked the account a few times over 2 months and the baby was still named, so who knows. A happy story for once. Hello, sorry in advance for any errors in this, I'm not very good at writing. So I have a good story for once. Working in a call center we get a lot of negative ones. A little bit of context if it's important. I work at a call center for a credit card company and our call center is pretty small. So the other day near the end of my shift, this lady calls in about a few things. She starts off needing to add a travel notification and she says she's going to Alaska. I asked her where in Alaska she's going and she's going to a lot of places that I've been, so I suggested some things for her to do. This is a little odd for me as I'm not very personal on a call and I usually just do what they want and that's it. For whatever reason, I opened up on this call. Anyway, we talked about that and she wanted to know what cruise I had gone on and what time of year, and she wanted to know what she should pack. I told her I went in either July or August and I had to bring a sweater. We joked that being Canadian it shouldn't be too cold for us this time of year. Anyways, we moved on to the other things she needs, but during the first little bit of the call she had mentioned that her sister passed away and that's why she's going to Alaska. She had questions about her rewards that she'd been saving up and she has a lot, so she's looking forward to using them after a trip to help pay it. She had a few more questions for me, I don't remember what they were now, but the call was about 20 minutes in at this point in time. For the next part, I think a factor of me doing it is that I knew the call was too long for it to be pulled by quality assurance. So, we're about to wrap up the call, but I felt it was important to say something about her sister. I'm not sympathetic or empathetic at all, one of my many flaws, and I don't know why I work at customer service. Anyways, my sister passed away about 10 years ago now, so I was sympathetic and empathetic to this lady as I've gone through that before. I asked her if she was close to her sister, and she said she was, and went into some detail as to what happened. She then said that her and her sister kept planning on going to Alaska, but it kept getting pushed back, so now she's going in honor of her. Since she opened up to me, I told her about my sister, and that we were not close because of family issues, but I did see her the weekend before everything happened, and I consider that to be a miracle, as we were not seeing each other often. I said I was young at the time, I was 12, and that I wish she could have seen me grow up. I got a little emotional with that. So I told her that it might not be much coming from a stranger, but it won't always hurt this bad. I also told her in the year I'd been there, her call is probably the third good one that I've got, in a way that I'll remember it. At this point she wanted to talk to a manager as we don't have surveys, and she wanted to say how good of a job I did. When we get these, our manager sends out an email to the office and we get points, which is nice, but I would have happily done the call the same way regardless if I got a shout out for it. I put her on hold, found a manager and they got set up for the call. I went back to her, and before I transferred her over, I also told her that this conversation was really nice, as I've been having a hard time since I just went to a funeral over the weekend. Then I transferred her over. Once I transferred her, I had to sit in the after call for a minute to recover. I did cry a little bit. I just felt that this call came to me for a reason, and maybe she needs someone to talk to right now. There was just so many coincidences. Her going to Alaska, with her sister, and on top of that, her birthday is the day after mine. I just didn't mention that to her. I really hope this lady has a great time in Alaska, and that I made her feel better. She was also really nice from the beginning of the call. This one for me hits really hard. If you've watched any of these videos of mine before, then you know I've worked in a few call centers before, and there really are those calls that stick out, and the ones you remember for the longest time. I had one of those calls where it felt like it was just meant to come to me, or that other people wouldn't be able to handle it. I had a woman on the phone who was crying and wanted to take out money on her mortgage. She was kind of rude and kind of snappy, but we got through things, and I told her that her tier 2 advisors were swamped with calls and she wouldn't be able to do an application to take out any money today. And that's when she just exploded. She told me that her dad had just died and she needed that money to pay for his funeral. She needed to get it all done today and that she didn't care how long she would have to wait. Now, on this particular day, the tier 2 advisors were pretty much on lockdown. Under no circumstances were we to transfer any customers to them, so I had to apologise and say there wasn't anything I could do. She started crying again, and I asked her to tell me about her dad. I could see from her mortgage that she was only about 21 or 22, and she told me he just collapsed, a heart attack, and there was nobody at home to help him. My dad died when I was 15, and he was only 42, so on some level I felt like I understood what she was going through, and we talked for a long time. I think it was around 40 minutes, we were just talking about our dads. Eventually, Tier 2 had calmed down a little, and I asked if I could put her on hold. I went and talked to one of my good friends in Tier 2, and I basically begged him to take the call. Which was a little unfair of me, because I was basically asking him to pile another case on top of his tower of cases. But he took it. I said goodbye to the woman, she thanked me, and I took a long lunch. I feel like this call came to me because there aren't many people working in call centers who have lost parents. Most people are just fresh out of school, entry-level job and all that. But what are the chances that she would get through to me? I don't know. Do you think it was fate or just coincidence? Let me know below. Okay, so that's all for r/Tales from Call Centers. I really hope you did enjoy it. As always, if you do want to see more content like this, then please do subscribe. My Twitter, Discord and Patreon links are in the description, and any support is greatly appreciated. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!